Hey, how's it going? This is Jerry over at Wealth Dynamics. Hope you're having a terrific day today. I'm just coming to you real quick with a live video on leaving an inheritance, the right way to do it. Now, when I say leaving an inheritance, what do I mean by that? What I'm talking about is I'm talking about building wealth, building assets, building cash, building equity that you're going to leave down for your kids and hopefully your grandkids and many generations into the future. Now, I want you to realize that it is possible. People do it all the time. Last year, so just in estate taxes, which is the money the IRS collects off of inheritances, they collected over $30 billion. So that's proof right there that people are doing it. Okay, the IRS is making money off of estate taxes. That's proof that people are leaving inheritances for their children, for their grandchildren, etc. So I want to talk about the right way to leave an inheritance, but first I want to talk about the wrong way to do it. So there's a couple wrong ways you can do it. The first wrong way to do it is to leave nothing. See, that wouldn't be the right way. If you can leave something beyond you, that's what you should do. So to say, hey, I'm never going to leave an inheritance, my kids don't need anything, I started with nothing, so will they. That's actually scarcity mindset. And you're living in regret. You're living with a sense of just being antagonistic towards your future generations. I don't know why people think that way. Okay, but just because you didn't have it doesn't mean that they shouldn't. Just because you didn't have it and it wasn't provided for you doesn't mean that if it's within your power, you shouldn't do it for them. So that's the first wrong way. The second wrong way is to leave them a bunch and not restrict and control how it's utilized. The worst nightmare of all the people that say, hey, I don't want to ever leave an inheritance is, oh, I don't want my kids to turn into, spoiled trust fund babies and, use it for drugs or whatever, right? And I want to point out first, if that happens, that's a reflection of you as a reflection on you as a parent. It has nothing to do with money and leaving an inheritance. It means you did a terrible job at raising your kids. And the money just amplified what they were already doing in their lives anyways that you caused. So confront that first. Second, if you do leave them a bunch of money and don't direct them on how to use it, I'm not even saying that from a standpoint of you shouldn't trust your heirs and you shouldn't trust your beneficiaries. I'm saying that nothing good happens without control, without boundaries, without rules, without guidelines. So to leave a bunch of assets and not have those rules and guidelines in place is not going to be helpful. It's actually going to be a hindrance for your heirs. So that's the second wrong way to do it. Now, the right way to do it is this. The right way is to leave a bunch of money, assets, and equity for your kids, for your grandkids, and your heirs, and give them very stringent guidelines on how to use it, where it goes, what it's for, when they can use it, when they cannot use it. And that would happen through what's called a revocable living trust. So a revocable living trust, I want you to think about this as the constitution for your wealth. So you're going to have a list of very detailed guidelines on here's what the money can be used for. This is not what it can be used for. Here's the circumstances where you can access it. Here are the circumstances that you'll be cut off from using the money if you're doing these things or not doing these things. Here's the education requirements you need to have. And you can restrict access based on all of these detailed things that you come up with because it's your trust. Now, here's the other benefit. You're not just going to leave assets to them. You're going to have what's called a trustee. Okay, a trustee is like your CEO. So when you pass away, you have to have a trustee in place that you've mentored, you've shown them how you did it, you've talked to them about what the trust says, you've gone through all of the specifics, and you've given them, the power to run that thing for you, just like a business. See, people don't think about this. They don't think about multi-generational wealth. They just think about, I lived a good life, I paid my mortgage, I paid my bills, I was debt-free, and I left a little something for my kids. But if you don't have, controls in place, I want you to think about water. So if you have a bunch of water and there's no push, there's no restriction, the pressure on that water is very low and it can't accomplish anything. Okay, but the more you squeeze it, the more you pressure it, the more you cause that positive pressure through restriction, through guidelines, through rules and boundaries, like a hose, right? If you got water going through a hose, like it can't go any way but the way it's allowed to go. So if your trust does that with your assets, I want you to think about how much power and speed your assets can have for your beneficiaries now, because you left that in place for them. You put that in a position where, you know, it's going to run for them whether they know how to or not. They might be terrible with money, but because you have a trust and a trustee, it's being managed exactly the way you would have done it. Guys, that's the right way to leave an inheritance. So when you're talking about, you know, building wealth, realize, you know, there's the phase of when you're alive and you're using it and you're accumulating it, and that's awesome and that's fun and it's good to have money. And at some point, you're going to have everything you need, and more money is not going to do much for you. You'll just have, you know, as much as you could possibly spend. And at that point, it does become about legacy. So if you're not thinking about legacy from the start, what I'm telling you is you're going to end up there anyways. You might as well start thinking about it now. Okay, you might as well start putting a plan in place now. So what I want to do here is, if you're watching this video today, I'm going to post a link in the comments. So part of our process with the Sacred account is we actually help you set up your trust. So we'll help you do your revocable living trust. If you're high net worth, we can even do an irrevocable life insurance trust so you can avoid those estate taxes. But if you would like to learn more about how do I leave an inheritance the right way, because if you leave just a will, I'm telling you, a will will do the basics, but it's not the right way. The will is going to lead you through probate. It can take up to 18 months before your beneficiaries get anything. Between fees and legal costs, probate can cost up to 15% of your assets. And once that's all said and done, they're just going to hand your kids the money. There's no rules. They can do whatever they want with it at that point. And there's no security in place to guarantee that that wealth is going to last on through their generation. So by setting up a trust, you're gaining all of that control and all of that organization and structure to make sure that your wealth lasts the life of your kids, goes to your grandkids, and even generations after that if you put things together right. So click on that link if you'd like to learn more about how you can utilize the Sacred account and the Living Trust to set that up for your beneficiaries. I'd love to provide that info. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and tune out. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure you do like, share, and subscribe if you received any value from this video today, and I will talk to you soon.